All right, welcome back to lesson 9, and this will be part 2. So hopefully you're up to bubble 8 here. And so this one, I just want a couple things before we get started. First off, this workspace thing, it means it continues bubble after bubble after bubble. And so if you make mistakes or don't do something that it wants you to in bubble 9, it might come up in bubble 11. It might not work. So you really need to make sure you get these right and just know that they're building upon each other, okay? All right, so this first bubble, excuse me. All right, this first bubble, all it wants you to do is kind of review the structure of this. And so it makes the point there is something called high-level function calls and definitions and low-level functions. So an example of that would be like draw all seagrass, for example, or actually no, if these right here where it says draw background, or draw seagrass, this is a high-level function because it not only calls this function, it also has another function in it that it calls. Okay, so it does more than one thing. And so when seagrass is called, then it goes down here to that definition and draws it as well. Down to seagrass, wherever it's at, okay? So let's look at this code in general. Okay, so here's all our top level functions, our higher level functions. So this would be like our top down design like we've done before. So we have these draw all, okay? And then like it shows, we have then all these function definitions for draw all seagrass, all sea stars, all fish, and so on. But inside of each of these, we have another function call. And it's calling all these individual seagrass, sea stars, and whatnot. And then you can see how those are drawn down here. Okay, these are the low-level definitions. Okay, so if we run this, you can see that it just draws one of each. So right now with this one call, we're going to have to add some pizzazz to it, some repeating, some for loops. Okay, all right, that one's done. I'm going to finish, go on. All right, in number 9. It's going to ask us to look at the draw bubble. So let's go to draw bubble. So it wants us, and it shows us that it accepts a parameter. So let's go down to draw bubble, for example. Draw bubble is just pen. Basically, this is a whiter, bluish color, red, green, blue, more blue, and it's at 0.2, so it's transparent, and it does a dot. Okay, but it accepts the size. And so if we go back up to the top where it says draw all bubbles, right? Let's look at that definition. Draw all bubbles here. It says add a loop inside the function. Move the commands that were already inside the loop instead. In other words, wrap a loop around the existing lines of code that are inside the function. This way your code will move the turtle randomly to call draw bubbles many times. All right, cool. So you have this move to option right here, right? We want to put a for loop around it. All right, so we can put these guys inside, and that way every time it runs, it's actually going to pick a new random location, and then when it does the draw bubble, that size parameter is going to be passed down. But this part right here will get us to move all over the screen. So let's run it. Yep, I see a few bubbles. And I think it's going to have us do it 200 times. Yep, there we go. So we're going to change that to 200 and run it. And there we go. There's our bubbles. Onward, pirates. All right. Now we're going to look at draw fish. And what it's going to ask us to do is add a loop to draw all fish. So here's our draw all fish. We're going to put a loop around that bad boy as well. I'm not sure why it's a bad boy. Could be a bad girl. And we're going to put inside this loop, and again, it's going to move to a random location every time this runs. So let's have this draw 15 fish of random size between 5 and 20. All right, so that's our size, and here's our red, green, and blue, right? And let's try to run that and see. Hey, that looks pretty good. Once you have the loop working, try to call random values for its red, green, and blue. And if you wanted to change this a little bit, you're totally welcome. Right now this is at 120. We should put a random in there instead. So now we're going to get different colored fish. Maybe we'll do random 100 to 200. See what kind of fish color we get. All right, a little more pink looking. So you could vary this more if you wanted a lot more different colors. Maybe we'll increase this one to 250. And we should get quite a few different colors. There we go. Beautiful. All right. It says place the commands already decided this way the color moves randomly around the top 360 pixels. So that's why we have this random to the top at 0 to 320. Let's do 360, so some of these fish are going to be a bit lower now. There we go. Looks great. Moving on. All right, now we're going to be looking at the draw sea star. Again, it accepts a parameter. All right, and it's got 2 steps here. First, draw sea star for loop. So draw sea star. Here's our sea stars here. Okay, we're going to put a for loop around that. We're going to throw that stuff in there. Again, it's going to remove randomly in a certain area. And it accepts a size parameter, right? And now we're going to add a loop to draw all sea stars. Oh, I did this wrong. It wants it actually in 2 spots. So we'll do this one in just a second, but I'm going to add it right here. So let's draw 5 sea stars. So we actually have to put a 5 in there. Right now it's going to draw 5 of them, right? But the point is that the values, let's run it again. Yeah, good. We can see that we can actually shorten the draw sea star function as well. So let's go down to draw sea star down here. There it is. We have some repetition in here. So sometimes it's easier just to throw a for loop in there and put 2 of these in there and have it repeat 5 times instead of having, and then we can get rid of all this. Bloop. Let's run that. Seeing they're still going to draw perfectly just fine, okay? All right, so did we do everything? All right. There's a repetition, put a loop around it. We did 5 lines, perfect. And we do 5 because there's 5 edges to the sea star. And then place commands already inside the loop. Move the turtle randomly at the bottom, 360 to 450. So let's go back to that top part. Sea stars, yeah, 10 to 30 and 360 by 450. Yep, got it there. All right, finish that. Oh, we're making progress, people. Is it not moving on for me? All right, I'll just do it myself. Filled my bubble, once it counts. All right, this time we'll modify the lower level functions of Seagrass. All right. We want to actually, so right now there's a lot of repetition basically. And we can actually put a variable. We'll look at this. We can put a variable inside our for loop. So let's go down to that Seagrass. Here it is. And right now we have a radius. Right now arcs left and right 3 times when it runs. Right? And change the size a little bit. So what we can do is we can go in there and change it to radius. Or no. Let's do number of waves, sorry. Num waves. Like that. So now it repeated 3 times, but we can change this so it takes more. That means up here we need another accepting parameter, and we can change this to num waves. So right now it just does that many, but we can accept it. So that means we go up to draw seagrass up here, not here because that's all of them. Draw all seagrass, it's right here. We can add another random value, and that will, right now it can be 1 to 10. So some seagrass could be tall. Those are pretty tall, right? And sometimes it'll be really short, depending on the random number. And that looks pretty good right there. And finally, we want to put it inside of a loop as well. Finally, modify all seagrass to new. Yep. Now let's put a random block around it as well. So I'm going to go up to control and draw all seagrass. And let's pop this stuff into it, and we can have it run multiple times. So here's 4 times. Ooh, that looks fun. Or we can do it, I don't know, acceptable amount. Let's do 50. That's probably too much. Ooh, that looks pretty good. I like that. All right. Finish.
1,000.
My son is here. Would you like to speak at all, William?
No.
Okay. William's interested in engineering, so he wants to start coding as soon as he can. All right. Add a for loop to all seagrass. That draws about 50 pieces. Whoa, that's what I just did. Crazy. All right. Wait, I already did that. That's funny. Oh, I guess here I could have done the random number. Maybe it should be 5 to 10. We don't want any of them, 3 to 10. We don't want any of them to be too short. All right, that one's actually done then too. Number 14. All right, finally we're going to add some visual flourish with draw all sunbeams. Okay, so let's look at the sunbeam code and see how it works. So we have one sunbeam now, and it does a size. All right, but we can actually see that some of these actually change angle a little bit too. So right now the pen width is random. That's good, 1 to 15. And it has a 0.1 transparency. So like when you run it, you can see there's a beam right here. And there's one right there. And it accepts the size. I like that. Like that would be the length of the sunbeam. So let's go to draw all sunbeams, or our sunbeam 1. There it is. Move to random. That's fine. And it's going to be at 0 because that's the very top of the screen. And then the turn to, we could vary that more and the sunbeams can kind of cross each other a little more, but I think it's fine. So let's go ahead and put that inside of a loop. Oop. Pop that all in there. Boop. And let's run it 100 times and let's see what that looks like. Ooh, that's pretty. All right. It says 100 sunbeams. We just did that. Place a command that's already inside the loops. That way the code will move to random Y 0 position between 165 and 170. I've already done that. I'm not sure if it was done on yours. So you might have to pop that in there. That way it's that way it actually crosses a little bit. They're not all perfect. And then we have a length of 100 to 400. So some reach all the way down. And if you did something like 600, by the way, more of them would reach. Even though 600 is down here, more of them would go across the entire way. So you can vary that up if you'd like. And yeah, I like that. Let's finish it. All right, the last one. So now, wait, was I going to make that a separate assignment? Let's look here. I was. Okay. So you can stop here. This is actually going to be a separate assignment. Right now it does this, but what I'm going to ask you to do is have it draw all something else, some other creature, whatnot. But I'll make a separate video about that. Okay, this is all you need to get done for Tuesday or Monday, but we had a snow day. Yay!